Thank you for joining us for Dr. Aasiyah's talk on starting your business, which will also include some talks of imposter syndrome and some chat GPT. So really excited. Just a little bit about Selam Connections, started 2023, and we have these fireside chats once a month to have stimulating, connecting conversations with each other. And some of the past topics you can see on this next slide: career counseling, dealing with regret, social justice fatigue, right? Is my community toxic? And you can share more topics that you want us to talk about in the next fireside chats by doing the exit survey that we'll have at the end. With that, I'm very happy and honored that we have Dr. Aasiyah Ghazi, who wears many hats, many roles, and does lots of mentorship, speaking, and just overall a great value to have to our fireside chat, this month's fireside chat. And with that, you have the floor, Aasiyah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm just going to do a quick correction. My Instagram is at the Dr. Aasiyah. That changed a while back. So you all can follow me on Instagram there. Let me go ahead and share my screen because then that way like we can get started and I think you're going to find this to be a very intriguing fireside chat. And so I'm doing it kind of like a presentation slash chat because I want people to be able to understand what imposter syndrome is. A lot of people don't know what that is. And then, of course, talking about starting a halal business because there are so many people in our community that don't know how to start a halal business. And the reason we say halal is because obviously, as Muslims, that's something that we're focusing on is how do we start a halal business? How do we do what we're doing? So I'll go ahead and I will start. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the spotlight on you, Sarah, just so that we could focus on this. And I think we'll be good. Okay. All right. So overcoming imposter syndrome. Let's talk about the agenda. So I'm going to talk to you about what it is. I'm going to give you the definition and impact. I love for you to engage as well and let me know if you can raise your hands. I'll see it. On Zoom, I think there's like a feature where you can raise hands. So I would love for you to let me know what your thoughts are on imposter syndrome, like if you've actually had any version of it or not. And if not, for you to be able to recognize it so that if it does occur, you know what to do to stop that. We're going to talk about the 5 steps to overcome imposter syndrome. These are 5 steps that I created based on my actual research from my dissertation that I did for my first doctorate. So my first doctorate program in organizational leadership, I was tasked to write a dissertation on overcoming imposter syndrome, and the focus was on women engineers in the STEM field, because a lot of women come into this field and it's very male dominated, and so a lot of times women are experiencing these feelings of I'm not good enough, or I have to, I'm here because of luck and stuff, and we'll talk more about that. But based on my participants and what they talked to me about and what data I collected, also from the literature, I was able to come up with 5 steps. So we'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about what it means to have a halal business. I'm going to talk about the business aspect in between all of that. We're going to talk about strategies and practical steps to start or grow your halal business. That includes some chat GPT, which I'll talk to you about, and introducing a coaching program that I am working on creating for all of you in case you are interested in working with me, if that is something you'd want to do, to help you with not only overcoming imposter syndrome, if this is something you feel like you may have, but also to help you with starting your business. So what is imposter syndrome? Actually, what I'd love to know is how many of you have heard of it? So if you could just maybe raise your hand on, I think there's a feature on Zoom where you can raise hands or something, just, okay, I see 1 hand up. I see 2. Okay. I see 3. Okay. So you have heard of it. 4. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. So I'm seeing a few of you do know. Okay, a few of you know what imposter syndrome is. Some of you don't know, and so we're going to talk about this because that way, both of you who know and don't know will be able to know a little bit more about what it is and whether you have it or not. I can tell you from my own experiences, I have dealt with imposter syndrome myself, and I have definitely felt the impacts of it, and we'll talk about that. So as you can see here, there's a mask, right? And a lot of times people who feel that they are imposters, they feel like they're wearing a mask. They feel that they have to show up in a way where uh they they have to be someone that they're not, right? And that's what this mask represents, being someone that you're not. And a lot of times people that think that they're imposters are thinking about it because these are some of the common signs. Now, this was research done in the 1970s. There were two psychologists. They did a whole research study on about 150 female, um, female high achieving, successful. They were not entrepreneurs. They were successful PhDs. They were successful executives in their businesses. I mean, these women were very successful, high end, making really good money in the 70s. And when they were interviewed, they just said, you know what? This was sheer luck. I didn't think I could even get this. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Or this was not my success. I happened to take somebody else's work, which they did not do, but they think they did. So they believe that they took somebody else's work and now they're getting the promotions or the accolades and not the person whose work they took. But the person that whose work that they took was their own work. It wasn't anybody's work, but they don't believe that. Um, it's the fear of being found out. So again, that's where the imposter comes in. You're afraid to be found out. And so you try to come up with ways to deflect that. So for example, someone who's a perfectionist. How many of you have been perfectionists? And this is both men and women. So even though we're talking about women, for those of you who are, on here and, there are men here, men also do experience imposter syndrome. They experience these same types of feelings of not being good enough or feeling that they have to be someone that they're not, or that, they're afraid to be found out. But it exhibits differently in men and women. And there's a lot more research on women than there are on men, unfortunately. And the reason is because a lot of times men don't want to talk about their feelings. They're afraid to talk about how they feel because they're thinking, well, if I'm going to expose my feelings, that'll make me vulnerable. And so women, we generally like, we talk to each other. And so because we talk and we're more expressive, there's more data collected on women who are experiencing imposter syndrome. So I love to do more research on men and like what they're dealing with when it comes to facing these imposter types of feelings, because there's so much out there that needs to be researched. So I'm just putting it out there. Um, but these are some of the common signs, right? Like it was just luck, the success isn't mine, fear of being found out. So if you're a perfectionist, for example, I was a big perfectionist. Okay. I used to everything had to be perfect. Like if my desk wasn't perfect, if my room wasn't perfect, if the work I did wasn't perfect, and I thought that I couldn't do a good job, I would just scrap it and start over again. So I'm not only wasting my own time being a perfectionist, but I'm also thinking and overthinking about what I could do to make it better. And one of the key factors is we're afraid to ask for help, because for someone who's going through imposter syndrome, they don't want to ask for help, because if they ask for help, they feel like they're a failure. And I would feel like that a lot. This was a long time ago. I don't feel like this anymore. I worked through it, but it took me time to work through it. And I really felt that um it was just something that kind of came about. I think, when your community tells you how you are, when maybe the way your parents or the people in your life, like how they raised you, and it happens in cultures too. Sometimes, depending on our cultures, we may have more imposter feelings than not. And it just depends on how we were raised. If your parents expected you to be the most perfect child, you're going to grow up to be a perfectionist. If your parents, raised you as a middle child, there's just certain things, right? Or like you're growing up and you're hearing people say things in the community about you and you start to believe it. Like I used to have my entire Muslim community back in the San Fernando Valley would make fun of me and call me fat and ugly growing up. So from ages 5 to like about 18, that was all I would hear was, oh, you're fat, you're ugly, you're not, who's going to marry someone like you? I was hearing a lot of negative things, and not even just from my Muslim community there, but from the outside people, from my peers at school. So imagine you're hearing this so much, you start to believe it. And I coined that as imposter transference in my study, because other people were telling me that they had people saying things to them that made them feel like we never had these imposter feelings, but then someone started saying this to us, we started to believe it. And words are powerful. So we have to be very careful with how we talk to people and how we approach them. We have to be careful with the way we speak to our children. We have to be careful with the way we speak to our friends. We have to be careful with the way we speak to people, students, friends, relatives, parents, siblings, everybody that we're in, because it affects us and it affects the way that we look at people in our relationship. So I have to put that out there. And yeah, no, thank you so much. I had to grow up with those hurtful comments, but I will say it made me stronger and it made me reflect, and I had to work on myself. And it took a long time. I didn't want to take compliments. I never felt good enough. So this imposter was me. I felt like I always had to stand up and show myself that no, I can do this. No, I can be successful, and just really constantly do that. And it's tiring. It is very tiring to have to constantly be, you know, showing up all the time and having to prove yourself, when the reality is you don't need to prove yourself to anybody. So if somebody's telling you that you have to prove yourself to them, maybe they're the ones that need to prove themselves. I don't know, right? Because why would someone expect you to have to prove yourself all the time? And so this is something we really need to learn in community, as well as within our family structure, as well as within our friendship structures, how to approach and interact with people. Okay. So all of these can actually hold us back. If we're starting our business, a lot of times will hold us back. So I'll tell you about, so we're in 2025, right? I still, for some reason, think I'm in 2020. I don't know why. I do. Um, but probably because the pandemics are in 2020. So I feel like 4 years of my life were just like spent indoors. And I'm like, wait, are we still in 2020? But this was about like 15 years ago. I remember I was kind of in this self-discovery mode, and I, went and got, I was getting coaching. So I was trying to get coaching for myself, and it helped me a lot. It helped me to learn so much about myself. And I was so intrigued with what I was learning from my coaches that I decided to become a coach. So I went through and took a life coaching program, completed my 60 hours, and, got my certification as a certified life coach. Um, and I tried to start my life coaching business. So I'm talking about this because the imposter syndrome was real for me. I never felt like I was good enough. And I was like, oh, well, I have to get clients, but I'm afraid to say anything because I'm afraid my clients are not going to pay me. They're not going to think I'm good at what I do. They're not going to want to work with me. Like, I had all these negatives, right? So anytime I was trying to start my coaching business back then, I couldn't do it because I had all these negative thoughts. So it definitely held me back from actually having a business today. And so I'm just going to quickly pivot and introduce a little bit of myself to you, because I wasn't really able to do that in the beginning. And I kind of felt like, let me talk about this before I do that. Now, mashallah, I am having a business. I have a dissertation coaching business. That's one business I'm doing. So I help my doctoral students who are on um their journey in finishing up their dissertations, and a lot of times they need help and they don't know what to do. And I have offered a very unique service that no dissertation coach or editor even does, and I do coaching and editing. And so I've got a few students under my belt right now I'm working with, and then on top of that I have my own leadership training institute. And so I'm working on certifications, and I have a coaching program that I'll talk about in a little bit that I'm starting up, that I want everyone to really get into if they want to do that. Because especially if you want to start your own business, or you just want to work on yourself and have some personal development, coaching is really great, and it's going to help you. Um, and then also I do real estate on the side. So I do real estate on the side. I haven't really been practicing it too much right now because I'm really focused on my leadership training business and on my dissertation coaching. That's because it's taken up so much of my time to do that. But I do have a real estate license. If anyone is looking for a realtor, you're more than welcome to, um, come in and ask me, and I can help you out. And I'm also partnered with one of my friends. She does real estate, so we do that together. And then I also work part-time at Pepperdine University, which is where I'm attending right now for my second doctorate. Yes, I know I'm torturing myself with a second doctorate and having to do another dissertation, but that's okay. That's It's a goal that I've achieved and I'm achieving right now with my second doctorate. So uh, but you can see I have a lot of stuff. I also have my own podcast. And I will drop the link to that as well towards the end if you do want to subscribe or follow. The podcast is called Amplify Your Potential, it's with Dr. Aasiyah Ghazi, and it is a great podcast. I have had some really great episodes. I've had people talking about it lately. They really are starting to like it. And even though it's still quite of a new podcast, it's only got 21 episodes. I love to have more people, listen and join and everything of that, like that. And so, so yeah, so go ahead and Sarah, I don't know if you can, or actually maybe I can just post it. Um, hold on. Let me drop the link here if it works. Let me know if that link works. But yes, so thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sarah, for that. Okay, so as you can see, this is why um when we have certain ways of how we feel about ourselves, it can hold us back from achieving our goals. And so, alhamdulillah, now I'm achieving my goals. But, there are times where I still will feel like, hey, I'm an imposter, I'm not good enough. But I know how to work on it because I have the steps, right? Which I'm going to share. So, obviously, if you are an entrepreneur, or if you're wanting to start your business, and actually raise your hands, how many of you have a business or would like to start a business? Or are thinking, you're thinking about it maybe. Okay, so Sana, Anika, okay, awesome. Jen, okay, great. Uluwafimi, okay, okay. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so you have a business or you're starting your business or you're interested in a business. That's great because I will be honest with you. Every single person in this room should start a business. Whether it's a little side gig where you're only going to have maybe just 5 or 6 hours a week where you're going to have your business, you need to start your own business. So that's what I did. I mean, I work. I'm actually trying to get a full-time position too at a university, but just because I'm I would want to work full-time doesn't mean I don't want to have a business, right? And nowadays we all need to have, businesses on the side because we need to create extra income. And I know people that are doing that. If How many of you have gone to the Ramadan markets or some of these markets? We've had a few markets lately where we've had a lot of vendors. I was just at Quadem last weekend. Yeah, Ramadan markets are coming up this week as well. And so I've been going to a lot of these events where I see a lot of the vendors, they have their own businesses. A lot of them are either married couples that are working together on their business, or like, the wife has the business, the husband is like, helping and supporting, or, the husband has the business, the wife is supporting, or it's just a single person that they have a business. Like I've seen different types of people with different types of businesses when it comes to restaurants, whether it's coming to clothing, books, whatever it is that they're selling, right? Whether they're selling like their therapy services or coaching services. I have seen it. And I think that every single person, when I was there, they were all telling me, well, you know what? We were, um, we were, you know, working full time, or we're still working full time. And we decided to have a business on the side so that we can make extra income and do what we want to do. Um, if any of you have heard, there's a place. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because my neighbors are making a lot of noise. We have thin walls in this apartment complex. So there's a business I was going to tell you about. It's called Calvin Chick. They have a restaurant in Torrance, and they just opened a new one here in Lake Forest. Great halal restaurant. They serve breakfast and lunch and dinner. And the food is delicious. I'm bringing them up because I talked to the owners of it, and the girl was telling me both her and her husband actually have full-time jobs. So they work full-time, 40 hours a week, but they also run the restaurant on the side. And the way that they're doing it is they train people, and their family members are also working, and they've trained people. So they've hired people to work for them during the day while they work on their business, or I mean on their jobs full time. And it's because they need to make income. They want to make sure that they still have a job and that they're still making income while they're doing the restaurant on the side, right? And so again, I encourage everybody, have something on the side, whether it's selling clothes, whether it's selling jewelry, whether it's making food and catering. Just make sure you get the right licenses for that. Um, it's important. So the impact of imposter syndrome on Muslim entrepreneurs is, number one, there's a lack of confidence in business decisions. So a lot of times we're trying to decide things, but we become over decisive and we can't make decisions, or we just feel like we're not good enough. So we don't even want to decide what to do for the business. So we kind of drop it. So we may have an idea, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then we drop it because we're like, you know what? I don't think I can handle it or do it. I've been there. I'm saying it from my own experiences. I've done that. Reluctance to network or pitch ideas. If you're a hardcore introvert, and I am a very hardcore introvert, I know none of y'all will believe me, and nobody believes me when I do tell them I'm an introvert. I am a very high introvert. I run away when it comes to networking. I don't want to be, if I'm invited to a networking event, I would like to not be there. I try to avoid it. Um, but unfortunately, I can't avoid it. And I have to force myself, because how are you going to run your business if you don't get out there and meet people? So I do try to get out, I do try to meet people, and I do talk to people. But if you are one of those people that you're like, I don't think I have anything to offer, I don't think that I can network properly. How do I talk to people? How do I pitch ideas? I don't even have an idea to pitch. We may be thinking about what we can't do versus what we can do. And so then we have a reluctance to go to these networking events. We don't want to pitch our ideas. We don't want to talk. So we're the people hiding in the back. I was that person. I have definitely worked on it. I still don't like to network so much because I get tired very quickly when I'm interacting with too many people. So I kind of need that space to re-energize. And sometimes re-energizing for introverts is you got to be by yourself or having one-on-one connections. So I love doing virtual or in-person one-on-one connections through Zoom, like over coffee or something. And I get to learn. So that's really good. And also a lot of times when we're thinking that we're not good enough and we feel like we have to pretend that we're something we're not, um, we end up um avoiding opportunities because we're afraid that we're not being ready. So um we're afraid that we're not ready. And instead of just jumping, right? A lot of times you have to just take the risk and jump. You can't just be like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I can't take this opportunity. Those opportunities are not going to come back to you again. So jump on it and then work on what you need to do. So don't wait until you're fully ready. Like you may not have your program ready yet. You may not have your service or your product ready yet, but that doesn't mean that you now just say, okay, I'm not ready. I'm not going to do it. No, because the opportunity is there. Presenting yourself is most important. And then when you present yourself, you're going to be able to, understand like, okay, I may not have been fully ready, but at least I jumped on this opportunity. Now I know what they're looking for and what they're needing from me. I have more clarity. I can do this quicker than I would have if I just avoided this opportunity. So also too, we have to consider our culture and our religion, which can also create doubts. And I say that because, for example, sometimes we're told, oh, like if you're a woman, you should not be working outside of the home. You need to be in the home. And maybe that can create a doubt in somebody who's saying, well, if I'm supposed to be at home, how am I supposed to run a business? Forget it. I'm not going to do it. That it doesn't mean that. So being at home means, you can even run a business from home if you want to. You're able to still go out and do things. You don't want to go out and find yourself in situations that are not going to be good for you. But when you get out there, you're going to meet more people. You're going to talk to people. So don't think that just because maybe we're told that we have to get our husband's permission to leave the house or to do anything. That doesn't mean you can't do it. You can, and you just have to find the right ways to do it. So that's an example of maybe sometimes religion could make us feel like we can't do something, but we can. And religion says we can, but maybe we're too hard on ourselves. And then the culture, a lot of times we're coming from cultures where we're told that, we can't do certain things, or, well, you can't do this, only as, if you're a woman, for example, you're being told only a man can do that. If you're a man and you may be wanting to do certain things, you're being told, hey, no, women are the ones that do this kind of work. And that's not always the truth, right? So again, consider the culture and religion. Consider that sometimes we may have had an upbringing, or we may be looking at something in the wrong way, thinking that it's telling us we can't do something, but we can. So always talk to your sheikhs or your muftis to get really clear on it, so they can also help you erase your doubts, and look at your culture with an objective eye, because we can't let our culture interfere with what we're doing. And a lot of times, especially I'm South Asian, I'm Desi, that so South Asians, we have a strict culture for certain things, and we shouldn't be restricted because of our culture, right? Especially when religion does not restrict us at all, but we're allowing culture to. We need to follow religion. We need to follow Islam more than we need to follow culture. So that's something that I always will say, even when it comes to your halal business, you need to consider what Islam is saying that is halal for you to do, and what may not be necessarily halal. And I can give you an example. Sometimes there are some Muslims that are owning convenience stores or gas stations where alcohol is being sold. And so then if you're looking at Islam and you're like, oh my goodness, I can't have this kind of a business because they're selling alcohol and they're selling like pork. And but the thing is, this convenience store is a chain, and you happen to get this chain as a franchise. You don't have control over what can be sold. But what you can do, if you talk to a sheikh or a mufti, is they will tell you this: put aside the money that was, like for example, if you sold alcohol or if you sold something that wasn't good, that's not money that's going to be part of your halal money. That money you're going to put aside and just give to someone else. And it's not going to be given as charity either or sadaqah. It's just going to be given to somebody else. So that money you put aside, that's not part of you don't mix that money with your halal money. Now, if you're selling something there that's, considered halal, like water or food that has no pork or gelatin or something in it, then you would keep that as your halal income. So there's ways to get around it. But again, that's why I'm giving that as an example, because with religion too, we have to be careful with what we have. It's better for us to have 100% halal business. But if you are in the business like that or considering something like that, talk to your sheikh or mufti in your masjid and see what they will give you as advice. Because I've heard that keep the money that is not coming from the halal means separate and give that away. And your halal money that you are making, you keep that on one side for yourself. But again, that's just an example. So I'm not saying, anything other than the examples that I have seen and have heard. Um, so now here's my 5 steps to overcome imposter syndrome. And so it originally was 4 steps, but I actually moved it to 5 steps because I have a 5-step model now, and the 5 steps are mindfulness is going to be the 5th step. So this was a new thing that came out of my research that I also did lately. And so my 4-step model is now 5 steps. So the first step is, in order to really overcome these feelings of I'm not good enough, or you feel inadequate, or you feel like you're being an imposter, is the first thing you do is you write out your goals. So accomplish, right? How many of you have goals that you can write out? How many of you have goals that you can write out? Okay, good. I'm seeing that. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay. So write out your goals. Maybe we can talk about some of your goals in just a few minutes, because I do want to open it up for questions, answers, and just a chat. But write out your goals, seek a mentor. Like, you guys have a mentor, you know, um, a mentor or a coach really helps you. So if there's someone in the community that who's very successful and you want them to be your mentor, go talk to them and ask them. Like 99.99% of the time, they'll be more than happy to help you and mentor you. But again, the mentoring has to come from both sides. So don't expect them to reach out. You need to reach out to them, and then they will reach out, and then the relationship will grow from there. So if you're looking for a mentor, get a mentor to help you with achieving your goals. And I would write out dates like, okay, by this date, I want to achieve 4 figures in my business, let's say 4 figures. So when I say 4, because let's say you want to make $1,000 this month. Okay, if that is your goal, now you set a date that by the end of February, I'm going to make $1,000. How you're going to do that, you're going to write out your goal. This is how I'm going to do it. But this is for anything. It doesn't have to be for a business. It could be for anything that you're doing in your life. You want to write your goals. Whether your goal is to get promoted at your job, write it down and write down who the people are that will be able to mentor and coach you, or even sponsor you and guide you towards getting that promotion or getting that job that you want, and set some deadlines for yourself. Okay. Now, support systems. You want to seek strong support systems. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have the right people in your life because I have had a really strong support system. My mom was my biggest support system. Allah yarhamu, Allah give her the highest ranks of Jannatul Firdaus. I mean, she passed away in 23, but she'll still come back and give me guidance. And so, here's the thing. Your support system could be your family, your friends, people that are your colleagues that, support you, people in the community that support you, but you need to vet the people to make sure that they're part of your inner circle and make sure that you don't include people in the circle who are doubting you. If you include people in your circle who doubt you, who don't believe in you or your abilities in anything that you're doing, whether it's starting a business or whether it's going back to school, or because when I went back to school, there were people that were saying, why would you want to go get your master's degree? Why would you want to go get a doctorate degree? You can just have your own business and do whatever you want to do. Well, why would you tell me I should be doing something because you don't think it's good for me? So that for me is a lack of support. And so you want people that support you. You want people that don't question you. They can question you in the sense of how are you going to get this going? How are you going to make things happen? Right? And that's valid. But if they're doubting you and they're telling you, oh, why would you want to start your own business? You don't need to have your own business. Why? Why would you tell me I shouldn't do it? Right. So make sure the people that are in your circle are 100% supportive of you. Um, these are, and I'm very supportive of the people in my community who have their own businesses. I like to promote them. I like to, talk about them on my Instagram as much as I can. I like to have people, on my, podcast. I try to do what I can to support and as best as I can. Sometimes I may not be able to fully just because I'm trying to do other things and I get overwhelmed. Doesn't mean I don't support, but I'm always there to guide, to advise, to give, to coach people if they need it. But your support can come from all of these places. So again, make sure you have a really good, strong inner circle or a circle of influence. Have people of influence in your circle. Have your mentors in your circle. Have coaches in your circle. Significant other. Like I have seen power couples. Like I have a dream that I want to marry a husband who's who's a power couple with me. Like he and I are both going to be running businesses together. We're going to be doing things together. We're going to be each other's support system. We're going to do all of that. It's important, because that's for me, that's what I would like. I'm in alignment with somebody who's wanting to, you know, do these same things as I'm doing, and for us to be able to support each other in that. And then there's also investment. So I'm not talking about financial investment. That's a whole different ballgame, y'all. I'm talking about investing in yourself because part of overcoming the feeling of I'm not good enough or the feeling of I'm not good enough. I'm not able to, you know, I just happen to be at the right place at the right time. It was just good luck. That's not true, right? So you want to make sure that you are investing in yourself. If there's something you don't know, like let's say you get a promotion at your job and you don't know maybe how to do certain skills, and you're thinking, I don't even know how I got this promotion. I don't know how to do this. Well, you got this promotion for a reason. So you know what you're doing. But if you don't know something, take a class. If you're wanting to work on yourself, professional and personal development. So you hire a coach, or you get a mentor, or you're involved in activities with your community. I tell people if you have a hard time speaking in public, join Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a great organization. I was a part of it for 12 years. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. And when I was in Toastmasters, we learned public speaking, communication, and leadership skills. And Toastmasters is the reason why I ended up getting a doctorate in leadership because I loved learning about it, and I loved learning how to be an influential leader through Toastmasters. But I didn't know that before. But because I invested in myself, yes, I had to pay some dues, but I joined this organization. It helped me to develop myself personally and professionally. It helped me to become a better public speaker. I still talk fast. Sorry about that. That's something that I've had a really hard time overcoming is speaking fast. But I've learned how to be a good leader. I've taken courses in leadership. So these are things to do. Like a lot of times, sometimes, we may need therapy. We may need someone that helps us to see things differently for us. So therapy is a form of investment. You're writing in your journal. That's investing in yourself. You're joining professional associations within your industry. That's important too. Conferences, even Islamically, you need to nourish yourself spiritually too. So investing in yourself Islamically, learning about halal, learning about, you know, how to be a better Muslim, that in itself is an investment too. Acknowledgement. So acknowledgement is something we don't do. A lot of us, if we get a promotion, we have a successful 1 month in our business or something, we say, oh, great, okay, we did it. Next. Where's the celebration in that, you guys? There's no celebration. You need to be able to celebrate yourself, and you need to be able to talk about, you know, yes, speaking fast is good. It makes you not feel bored. I know sometimes some people speak very monotone and slow, and it can be very distracting. Um, but going back, you want to celebrate your accomplishments. Listen, you guys, if you get a promotion, do something for yourself. Take yourself out to dinner, go watch a movie, maybe treat yourself to your favorite ice cream or brownie or cookie. Do something that celebrates you. Don't do something that where you're just passing it by, like, oh, I got a promotion. Great. Okay, next. Oh, I'm stressed out now. I got this promotion. Now I have to figure this out. No, take your time. Take a day to let it come in. It was your accomplishments. It was the things that you did that gave you that promotion. It was the things you did that made your business successful. It was the things you were doing that made you be where you're at. And that's something to celebrate. And I want you to journal about it, because when you write out what you've accomplished, it helps you to go back and look at it later. And mindfulness. You in every step of this, you want to practice mindfulness. You want to be mindful of your thoughts. You want to be mindful of what you're thinking and how you're thinking, and then being able to be aware of it. Well, hey, why did I just think so negative today? Or, reflecting on yourself, right? So every night you should reflect. Every night you should be, look at what did I do today? What did I say today? How did I behave today? Was I saying anything that would make another person think that you know, like maybe I said something, or, maybe this person gave me a compliment and I didn't say thank you because I was so afraid of that compliment. Don't be afraid of compliments, right? And so maybe you're being mindful, like, okay, next time if somebody gives me a compliment, I'm going to happily accept it and not be um upset about it, right? And so these are things that you want to be able to be mindful of. You want to be mindful of your thoughts. So as soon as you get a thought in your mind that's negative, you reframe it. You ask yourself, why did I think this? And then you say, okay, instead of saying this negative thought, let me reframe it to something more positive or realistic. So if you think, I'm not going to have a successful month at all, I'm not going to even make $1,000, let's just say, for example, in my business, why are you thinking that? Probably because I haven't made the effort to really put myself out there. Okay, so now you reframe that and you say, you know what? If I made an effort today, that's going to take me one step closer to achieving this goal. And if I don't achieve it this month completely, that's okay. Even if I get something out of it, it's something, and that's good. You see how I reframe that mind. So that's something that you need to practice, right? We all need to practice it. Now let me quickly talk, because I know we don't have too much time left, but what does it mean to have a halal business? It means operating in a way that is permissible in Islam, free from activities that are, prohibited. So obviously nothing haram. And you're dealing with things ethically. You're not looking at things in a way that is unethical, right? So your morals and your values are gonna help you with having a halal business. I mean, there are people that, like I said, they have businesses where they own franchises, and sometimes in their franchises, they have to sell certain things that are not considered halal. But if their intention is, I'm not taking the money from anything that's being sold that's haram, I'm only going to take what is halal from this business, that intention is there. So they're trying to be ethical about it. But if you have a fully halal business, like you're selling abayas and clothing, you're selling, you're doing catering, or you're selling food, or you have a restaurant, or you're selling a coaching product, or you're doing real estate, anything that you're doing, that is all halal. You're helping people. Now, are there going to be components that may not be halal? Like, for example, if you're in real estate, you're going to help somebody buy a house, but maybe they have to deal with interest rates. And clearly we don't deal with interest. So what do? We can help our clients by telling them about Islamic halal banking. Well, hey, there's these Islamic banks, and they will give you a loan for your house that you would like to buy. and it's done in a halal or ethical way. So there's ways to make sure that you're still ethical in how you deal with things. Now I'm going to talk about key steps to start or grow a halal business. Okay, this is really important. First of all, if you are going to start a business, validate an idea, research your idea. So for example, when I started off my dissertation coaching practice, right? I was like, let me put this idea out there. So I had a few students I started to work with. This was like back in 2021. I started working with a couple of students. I didn't charge that much money. And I was like, let me work with these students. So I started working with a couple of them. I was just doing editing at the time, though. I wasn't even doing full-on coaching. I was just editing. And I noticed that the way that I was editing, I was very meticulous. I wanted to make sure everything looked right. I wanted to make sure they were following APA citations when they were doing their research. And my students were like, wow, like this is something I would have never known to do. I would have never done it. And they had used other editors who didn't do the things I did. So then that validated my idea for me. And I did a little bit more research on other dissertation editors and coaches. And I saw that they were doing things like editing or, giving feedback on their dissertations or whatever. But then I said, wait a minute. A lot of times these students need someone to help them. They want someone to hold their hand. They don't want someone to just throw things at them and that's it. They need someone that's going to be with them every step of the way. So then when I started my full-on business, I decided to add coaching to it. And I decided to tell students, you're going to meet with me every week. You have a timeline. Here's a contract you're going to follow. And I increased my prices. It took me time because I was afraid to increase my prices. But my students were like, Aasiyah, your stuff is so valuable for us. Please increase your prices because what you do, that's a lot of work. And the fact that they validated that for me, I was like, that's perfect. So I started to take those ideas. It validated it for me. I did the research behind it. And now I do something most dissertation editors don't even do. Most editors don't do. Most coaches don't do. There is not enough dissertation coaches. And even if they're there, they're not doing the things that I'm doing. I'm literally holding their hand through every step of the chapter that they're in and helping to validate that. So I'm solving a real problem. And that's a question. Are you solving a real problem? Does it genuinely meet a demand in the community? So if the problem, for example, let's say you're in a city, you're not seeing enough modest clothwear, and you're like, I want modest clothing, which is what we're seeing here. Then you come up with your own store and you're like, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to have my own business where I get to sell modest clothing for Muslim women. So you have a target market, Muslim women, for example, you're selling modest clothing because you're solving a problem that it's hard for Muslims to find good modest clothing. And it meets a demand in the community, not a command, a demand in the community. Is the idea viable? Yes. Are you testing it? Yes. So maybe by testing it, you're going to go to one of these events where they're looking for vendors and you become a vendor and you start to sell. And a lot of these businesses that I have seen, they start off being vendors, they're selling, and then they end up being, opening up bigger stores later on because they started from just selling some clothes off the rack to I have a whole store. And I know people who are doing that. So you want to validate your ideas and do some research behind it. Make sure everything is halal compliant. If you have a restaurant, for example, make sure you're getting halal meat. Make sure you have the right certifications. This is depending on industry. If you're going to start a catering business, make sure you're making everything in a halal way. Make sure you're using also ethically, right? You want to make sure you're using, for example, if you have a restaurant business, you're using healthy oils. You're not using seed oils. Maybe you're following guidelines to make sure that the food that you're making is not only halal, but it's also healthy and it's fulfilling for people that are looking for it. Maybe part of that would be, hey, I give away the, remaining food that we have left over. I give it away to my employees, or I give it away to the homeless people, or I give it to shelters that they can feed others. So again, this is just a food industry, and I'm giving an example. But for anything that you're doing, make sure it's halal. Like, for example, if you're selling clothes, you're not going to want to sell bikinis that are like showing mostly skin. That's obviously not halal. But if you're selling like a burkini, right, that's halal. So I'm giving an example of what would be halal compliance versus what might not be considered halal. So again, look, depends on your industry. So just look at what those processes are. You need to create a business plan. If you don't have a business plan, we can talk afterwards, but create a business plan because this is part of your business model and planning. Do you have a business plan ready? Do you know what your first year is going to look like? How much profit are you projecting to make? What's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years? Like these are things to ask yourself. And if you go online on Google, you can even type in business plan template, and you'll get a lot of templates that you can start to look at and fill out on how you want your business to be structured, what that model looks like. And it can be a very simple business plan, nothing extreme, just something simple. You have a goal that, again, this goes back to accomplish. You're writing out your goals, you're writing out what you're planning, you're writing out what your first year is gonna look like, and so forth. So you're gonna have a plan in place. Marketing and branding with values. So again, making sure your marketing is done in a halal way. How are you marketing yourself? It's important for you to see, are you gonna market on Instagram? Are you gonna market on LinkedIn? Are you gonna market on Facebook? So you want to kind of figure out what that is. But part of your marketing and branding is also who you are as a brand. What is your mission and vision statement? So not just your business mission and vision, but your actual mission and vision for yourself. So my mission is to help people, to be of service to them. And I envision myself generating enough income in my business for me to be able to use the money that I make, not only to take care of myself and my family, but to take care of my community. So that is where I'm aligning in my personal and my business goals, right? And then is your marketing coming from an ethical means, right? Like, for example, we have a lot of stuff that we're doing. We're doing a lot of boycotting on certain Israeli products. And if that's the case, then are you marketing? What products are you marketing in your business? If you're selling certain products, but you find out later that, oh no, they're coming from a place that we're boycotting, then your ethical reasoning is going to be like, I'm not going to market this. I'm going to take it out of my store and I'm not going to sell it. And I'm going to sell something else instead. So again, you want to be able to do that. Are you reflecting on Islamic values and how you plan, price, and promote? I mean, and Sarah, you can tell me, I think I would love to do another fireside chat where I talk about promoting and pricing ourselves and branding ourselves, because I think there's so much to talk about here. I'm just giving you like a very fleeting overview of it, but honestly, we got to talk about how you're going to price yourself. Sometimes I was scared to death of pricing high. I was like, oh my God, people are not going to buy from me. But then when I realized that people saw the value in what I offer as a coach, and they see that it's making a difference in the way that they're living their lives or in the way that they're doing their dissertations or whatever it is that I'm helping them with, then they're saying to me, you need to raise your prices. That gives me confidence that yes, I'm me raising my price is gonna be a good thing for me. It's gonna give me people that are willing to pay for that. And that was something it took me a long time to learn. But again, this is something that we may need to do like another whole workshop or fireside chat about. And then make sure you're getting networking and support. Again, we go back to imposter syndrome and how to overcome it by having support systems. Who's your network? If you're going to start a business, you want to make sure you know who the people are in your network and who is supporting you. So Ummah collaborations, right? Like our community, there's so many people, like, for example, that I see when I go to these markets, Eid markets, Ramadan markets, and so on, cultural markets even, and people are coming together and they're collaborating with each other. They're buying from each other. They're like, hey, you're doing this. I mean, I've been collaborating with some of the people that actually host the markets, and I'm like, hey, let me know what I can do, or I'll send people that I know that can be vendors for their events and so on. And I'm helping to collaborate. I'm putting it out there. And I think it's important to have a network you can reach out to. And again, go back to your support systems. Is your community supporting your business? Is your family supporting your business? I mean, who are the people that are supporting you in what you're doing? And collaborating with other Muslim businesses and brands. I mean, there's a lot of people that collaborate with each other all the time. So are you doing that? It's very important. And then I just want to kind of reiterate that you want to integrate the 5-step framework that I talked about with your halal business journey. So if you're looking to have a halal business, again, accomplish micro goals for your business. Maybe if you have a product or a service, or you're getting, get your client first or get a mentor, test a product, do what you got to do to set those goals and make it happen. And micro goals, small goals that are bite-sized that you can accomplish. Support, seek out Islamic business networks and mentors that understand faith and commerce. Investment, again, invest in Islamic finance options, coaching, certifications. So when it's finance options, so if you're going to start a business, you kind of want to know what banks you want to work with when it comes to where you're going to put your money. I'm not the finance expert, so hopefully Sarah will find someone who can talk about Islamic finance and discuss that with you guys. I have a business account that I have to have, and I have it with Chase. But again, you want to invest in your Islamic financing. You want to have options in that, but you want to invest in yourself. You want to get coaching. You want to get certifications if you need it. Again, these are things that are important. And then you want to acknowledge your progress. Even the smallest goal, like you got one client, celebrate it. You made $500 or even $20, celebrate it. Celebrate every dollar you get. Celebrate everything. Praise Allah. Make dua, share gratitude with your team. And everything that you do, make Allah your business partner. Make Allah your partner in your life goals and in your business goals. And trust me, when you do that, Allah will always help you. Have Allah as your shareholder. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he doesn't need our money. He's going to be the shareholder. The money you make, you portion it out to say, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm going to give 51% of the income I make to you as my shareholder. That 51% then goes to charity. It goes to people that are in need. Because that's going to make you successful because you're going to continue making more and more because Allah is there helping you. And of course, mindfulness, being mindful of your actions and your thoughts and how you approach others. I was going to do an activity, but we ran out of time. It's already 12 o'clock. I know we started about 8 minutes late, but I kind of want to share with you. This is very quick. I do have a program called the Halal Confidence Accelerator. It's overcome your imposter syndrome, launch your business, and elevate your life. If you'd like to know more about this coaching program, you can get in touch with me and I'll put my contact information for you guys to screenshot. I will also share this with Sarah, my PowerPoint, and then she will send it out to all of you who've attended today. But my coaching program really is to help you overcome the feeling of I'm not good enough, I can't do this, to help you to develop the mindset and the belief that you need to succeed, to align your entrepreneurial journey with your Islamic principles, and to cultivate a balanced lifestyle in supporting business success and personal fulfillment. I also do just general coaching. If you're looking for leadership coaching or even life coaching, I do that as well. But I want to make sure that, you all have access to this, to not only my model, but to be able to work with me if this is something you'd like to do for yourself. And just to kind of, and wrap this up, your path to a confident, faith-aligned, and successful you happens when you work towards overcoming the feeling of I'm not good enough or I'm an imposter to I can do this, I can make decisions, and I can have the right goals that I want in my life. You can talk about we talked about halal business bringing profit, but also spiritual fulfillment. So making sure you're following the ethical considerations you need to follow Islamically for your business, and getting support, making investments in yourself, learning new things, acknowledging yourself and celebrating yourself. These are very critical to drive and achieve success. If you're not doing any of these things and you're not celebrating yourself, you're going to find very quickly that you're not going to be satisfied. So celebrate every goal that you achieve, big or small, and make sure that you can start your business. So those of you who said you want to start your business, do it. Those of you who are contemplating, I would say, do what you got to do and start your own side gig. Do something for yourself because these days we do need to make that extra income. I highly encourage you, look at what your hobbies are, look at something that you love to do and actually get it going. And if you need any help or suggestions, feel free to reach out to me. This is my contact information. You can email me. Please take a screenshot if you can. I'll keep it up for like a few minutes. Follow me on Instagram. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, any of these three areas. And I would love to talk to you further. And, if you're interested in working with me, we can even work together. So thank you so much for listening. And if there are time for questions and answers, Sarah, you can let me know what you think. If there's times for questions and answers, let me know.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, that was amazing. I wanted to start by asking if everyone can take a second to find the reactions button there. Yeah, on their Zoom and go ahead and put either a party emoji or I see a heart, a clap, because Dr. Aasiyah did have a birthday recently as well.
Oh,
So either
it's
party
coming up
or
on
clapping
Wednesday.
mood.
It's coming up on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, this coming Wednesday. So yeah, let's see those partying clap emojis. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. What I'm going to do in the chat here before you guys leave, I do have a link here so you can ask questions that you didn't get to ask Dr. Asia, and that way we can get that to her. And also post them on our IG if you want those questions posted for other people to get the answer to. Ask them in the survey that's in the chat right now, and then we'll post the answer on our Instagram, which you can see right here, Selam Connection. And there was a good question in the chat. I wish, yeah, there was time, but I know you have an event to go to now as well, Dr. Aasiyah. So very busy and accomplished woman that we look up to and very grateful. Wow, that was cool. The birthday cake emoji. Yeah.
Oh, the question that was asked, does imposter syndrome also show up more for certain ethnic groups than others? And it's a great question, just really quickly. It can. And again, I think I kind of touched upon it a little bit. Culturally, it can. Because it depends on the cultural, like what we're learning from our culture, the way we were raised, the way we, grew up. Those things can certainly affect us in how imposter syndrome can come about. It can. That's why I said that earlier. We need to be very mindful of how we are with our community and how we speak with people, with our family, with our friends, with our children, and so forth. But yeah, I mean, I can answer more of that offline anytime. So definitely let me know. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I really appreciate it.
Yes. And for those who did ask private questions that I did see, feel free to put it. It was really good. Put it in that survey that's in the chat. And I'll be sure to get that to Dr. Asia as well. So I'll put the
Yeah,
link here again.
yeah, and I'll
Great,
go ahead and I'll
great
respond.
questions. Mhm. Yeah. And Ramadan Mubarak, everyone. Our next one's in April.
Yes, Ramadan
Hope to
Mubarak,
see you then. We'll
everybody.
also try to,
May everybody have the best Ramadan ever.
yes.
And hopefully I get to see all of you in person during Ramadan. So, it'll be great.
Can I say
Inshallah.
something, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
It's really amazing. I didn't miss one single word of you said. Very meaningful, amazing. And we want this lecture again. We have to really expand. We have to send the flyers for many people because it's really, really amazing, valuable lecture that you gave us today. And I don't know. I don't have any word how to admire the knowledge you have and the lesson you gave us. It's amazing. I want this uh, to reach out to many people. And in Ramadan, like in 2 or 3 weeks, after 2 or 3 weeks, every week, and or I don't know how many how many times you can be available. If you can let us know now, so we can reach many people. So many people can learn from you, like we learned today. So, how often you can give this lecture?
You let me know anytime, like any weekend. Do you want me to do it? I mean, I can do it in person if you want me to come out in person. I can do it. I can do it over Zoom. I mean, any weekend day time, like maybe this time would work. Yeah. Anytime, anytime. It's up to all of you. I think Ramadan is a busy month for everybody, so you let me know.
Thank you very much. May
All right.
Allah bless you. And
Aw.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak to you, Mama. I miss you, and I will, inshallah, I have to see you soon. I'm gonna come down to see you.
Please do that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Let's all do iftar together. Me, Sarah, you, all of us do iftar.
Like we always do, inshallah, we will again.
Yes, yes. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm gonna hop off and run off to the Garden Grove Masjid, but I will see you all later. Thank you.
Thank you.